Between 1968 and 1969, a serial killer known only as the Zodiac terrorized Northern California. More than 50 years later, his identity remains unknown. It began on December 20th, 1968. David Faraday and Betty Lou Johnson, two high school students on a first date, were shot and killed near Vallejo, California. There were no witnesses, no apparent motive, just death in the dark. 7 months later, another couple, Darlene Farron and Michael Magoo, were ambushed in a parked car. Michael survived and gave police a chilling description: a stocky man, short brown hair, heavy-set face, but no name. In August 1969, 3 major newspapers, the San Francisco Chronicle, the Examiner, the Vallejo Times-Herald, received letters from someone claiming to be the killer. A third of a cipher supposedly revealing his identity. The killer demanded the letters be printed or he'd strike again. Each was signed with a chilling symbol, a circle with a cross through it, what we know now as the Zodiac's calling card. On September 27, 1969, Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard were stabbed near a Lake Berryessa. The killer wore a hood with a symbol and even wrote on the victim's car door. 2 weeks later, cab driver Paul Stein was shot in San Francisco. This time, the killer was seen by 3 teenagers, and police were this close to catching him. But due to a dispatcher's error, the suspect walked right past officer completely. Over the next few years, the Zodiac sent more letters, some with ciphers, others with threats. One even claimed he'd rigged a school bus with a bomb. Over the decades, hundreds of suspects were investigated, but 3 names stand out the most. Meet Arthur Leigh Allen, the prime suspect for years. He had the right background, disturbing behavior, and even wore a Zodiac brand watch. But handwriting and DNA didn't match. Arthur Leigh Allen was a former school teacher, a Navy veteran with a deeply troubling history. He was fired from his teaching job for alleged intercourse with children, and later convicted of child molestation in 1974. His fascinations with cryptography, violent fantasies, and disrupting writings added layers of suspicion. He was the only person ever served with a search warrant specifically in relation to the Zodiac case. Arthur owned a Zodiac brand wristwatch featuring the same crosshair logo used by the killer. He told acquaintances he wanted to commit murders and called himself Zodiac before killings began. He also lived near multiple crime scenes and had access to similar weapons and materials. He wrote bizarre letters, owned bloody knives, and expressed dark fantasies about killing people. Psychological profile. Allen displayed strong signs of antisocial personality disorder, including lack of empathy, impulsive aggression, and disregard for social norms. His fascination with power and control, interest in violent themes, and predatory behavior towards minors point towards a deep-rooted psychological disturbance. Those close to him described him as volatile, angry, and disturbing. Evidence considerations. Handwriting analysis by multiple experts ruled him out. His script did not match Zodiac letters. His DNA samples recovered from Zodiac stamps did not match Allen's, though it's unclear how reliable or pure the DNA samples were. He passed a polygraph test, though this is not definitive. Investigators never found definitive physical evidence linking him to any of the crimes. The verdict? Allen remains a compelling but unproven suspect. His behavioral profile fits the Zodiac's archetype, but hard evidence is lacking. Meet Lawrence Kane, a Navy vet with brain damage. He lived near several victims and matched some witness descriptions. Kane served in the Navy and worked in real estate and sales. In 1962, he reportedly suffered brain trauma from a car accident that impaired his impulse control and decision-making capacities. He had a history of erratic behavior, stalking, and voyeurism, and was known to be manipulative and unsettling around women. His Zodiac connections: he lived near Darlene Ferrin and may have stalked her before the murder. He was identified by Kathleen Johns, a woman who escaped a possible Zodiac abduction, as her attacker. He matched Zodiac composite sketches more closely than many other suspects. He also had arrests for peeping, prowling, and mental health related issues. His psychological profile alleged that frontal lobe damage may have led to an emotional detachment, impulsivity, and inappropriate social behavior. Traits such as obsessive fixation, a need for control, and a deteriorated moral judgment align with behaviors exhibited by the Zodiac. He may have also exhibited signs of narcissism, with a sense of superiority and a desire to manipulate or frighten others. He was never definitively linked by DNA, fingerprints, or physical evidence. Most of the case against him was circumstantial. His mental state may have made it difficult for him to operate with the Zodiac's calculated precision, though others argue it made him more dangerous. The verdict: Cain is plausible. His psychological makeup and proximity to key events make him a serious person of interest, but again, no direct forensic links have been found. Meet Gary Francis. In 2021, a group of private investigators known as the Case Breakers claimed Gary was the Zodiac. They cited coded messages and photo evidence, but law enforcement remains unconvinced. His background is a U.S. Air Force veteran. Gary Francis became the focus of renewed attention in 2021 when a team called the Case Breakers announced they had hacked Zodiac ciphers that included his name. Gary had a criminal past, allegedly training young men in paramilitary-style tactics, and was said to be violent and controlling. His Zodiac connections. According to the Case Breakers, Gary's name, allegedly decoded from one of the Zodiac ciphers, had distinct facial scars that resembled witnesses' description of the Zodiac. Another detail that tied him is that he lived near crime scenes and was reportedly active in California during the time of the murders. It was also said that he allegedly disposed of evidence in a secret stash in the mountains. Psychological profile. While less is formally documented, Gary was portrayed as a domineering and militaristic figure with paranoid and narcissistic traits. If he truly led a kill squad, this suggested a need for control, power, and possibly sadistic tendencies. He may have suffered from delusional thinking, possibly believing he was untouchable or destined for infamy. Evidence considerations: no confirmed forensic evidence linked Gary to the Zodiac. Law enforcement agencies like the FBI and SFPD have not validated the Case Breakers' claims. Critics argue the cipher decryption was forced or retrofitted to match Gary's name. Gary died in 2018, and many claims about him come from hearsay and unverifiable sources. Gary is controversial and speculative. While his background and behaviors are suspicious, the lack of corroborating physical evidence and law enforcement buy-in leaves his alleged involvement in doubt. And yet, 4 more Zodiac ciphers remain unsolved to this day. What secrets do they still hold? A confession? A clue? A name? Or are they all just one final trick meant to keep us looking? The Zodiac killer left behind more than bodies. He left mystery that continues to captivate and terrify. Each cipher, each clue, each missed chance, it all adds up to one of the most enduring unsolved cases in American history. So who was the Zodiac killer? A lone madman? A group? Someone still alive today? We may never know, but somewhere, someone does.